What single trope can cause you to fully lose interest in a movie, show? Something that can be fixed right away with just a conversation. She was a busy business lady that only had time for business. He was some jackass womanizer with chlamydia. Will these two incompatible people go through a series of unlikely events, fall in love, have some minor misunderstanding, then get together in the last few minutes? Find out this fall. If an entire conundrum can be solved by just someone waiting 1 minute for the other person to explain but chooses not to, irritates me to no end, and I'd much rather stop watching the movie. Cutting the palm of their hand in order to use their blood for some goofy bullshit like it's Natone of the worst possible places to cut. One of the ones that never fails to make me laugh, however, is something insane happening in front of a lone hobo. Then the guy looks at the bottle he was drinking and tosses it over his shoulder. Fathers that are stupid literally cannot parent for comedic value. The useless dad trope. The clumsy, nerdy, awkward girl, who are normally played by the hottest actresses out there. When a character is repeatedly hyped as being insanely intelligent, but then they just have a decent vocabulary and aren't particularly insightful or clever. Smart people making dumb decisions for drama. I have stopped watching several shows because of this. Character dies at the end of story for no reason just because of shock value and they needed to kill someone. Disobedient stupid children who ultimately end up getting their parents killed or put them in danger. All the men are diverse in age and attractiveness, and the 2 to 3 total women are at 20-something bombshells. Resurrection and fake-out deaths. Watching the first episode of Suits with my roommate ages ago. Early in the episode, the main character just puts a baseball cap on another random person and walks away. The random person just walks with this new random baseball cap until Professor Pursuer takes it off him in the hopes of finding the main character. My roommate just lost his hit at that. Like, what kind of person just lets someone else puts a baseball cap on him and keeps it there instead of immediately taking it off and going, WTF? He refused to watch the rest of the episode after that. He was ucking livid. I wish I took his warning because that show really was bad and I should have not bothered watching it after that. 2. Refuses to solve the problem because one person made it, so instead they risk the lives of millions. They can't figure out how to give their female characters depth without falling back on some kind of rape, sexual assault. Presenting causal stalking and the denial of boundaries as romantic. Notebook, I'm looking at you. Not saying all movies that do this are bad or that The Notebook is bad, but it really makes me cringe. Shaky cam. I hate shaky cam. Love triangles. Everyone in this show is an unlikable bastard. Making everyone an *SS hole isn't the same thing as shaving character depth. When a character is killed and then soon after brought back to life. You just squandered so much storytelling potential and audience emotional engagement there. Superhero movies are so guilty of this. Cop with family problems. Yeah, we get it. The job's so important that they've sacrificed family time and regret it. And now they want to be the parent they failed to be in the past, but this new case is so important. The plot twist where the seemingly innocent character is revealed to be the villain behind the stages and goes into a monologue as to why he, shahad their motives, bringing up a boring backstory about how their efforts were never appreciated or how they spent time in secrets learning skills to outwit the hero. Chosen 1. Stories. The ex-cop, FBI agent that comes out of retirement because the entire government can't catch a criminal. What is the most damaging thing kids can be exposed to? Domestic violence. Abuse, neglect, and violence. Parents who don't have any emotional intelligence and don't know how to show love. Grew up with parents who never been hugged, therefore hugs were something I get on birthdays. Red circle edit. Red circle, I feel the need to clarify some things. My parents were very loving but in their own ways. Lots of presents, and my dad was a quality time kinda guy and would often take me swimming on the weekend when I was little. My mom was never a hugger. I asked her to hug me a few times in the last years and I could tell it was uncomfortable to her. She often refused to hug me when I was crying. Both parents were and still are overwhelmed by me. I have lots of strong emotions. My mom can be cold. A few weeks ago I had a mental breakdown and was screaming and hitting my head. I have bad depression and got diagnosed with ADHD in December. My mom was not even trying to calm me down before it happened. I sat next to her crying and she just said, "Okay, it's all good now. Stop now." My mom would never hug me, but we would lay together on the couch and I would put my head on her belly. I was a kid that needed that a lot. I just rarely got it how I needed it. Generational trauma is to blame for this. Like I said, they never got hugged, but it affected my mom a lot. She had to be a housewife at 13 BC. Her mother and father were working. Not the most damaging. But something I absolute loathe is parents that talk hit about each other in front of their kids. I have worked as a personal assistant to disabled kids for many years, and the parents go on and on about how hitty the other parent is in front of their kids. It never stops. It makes me hate the parents and quit the job. Every time. Thank God I got myself another education. Abusive parents, family, it causes lifelong struggles with anxiety and insecurities. That's the case for me and my siblings, at least. Pedophiles. Radiation. It's technically the most damaging thing anyone can be exposed to. Childhood emotional neglect. A co-parent who brainwashes a child against the other.
What's the best insult you've ever heard? 16-year-old me trying to convince my dad to take my fiends and I to see American Pie. Dad. So what is it about? Me. A group of high school friends trying to lose their virginity. Dad. I can stay home and see that. You're not the dumbest person I've ever met, but you better hope he doesn't die. Was out with some workmates on a Xmas night out. One guy the first worked with was drunk and obnoxious with it. He said to the barmaid, "Fancy sitting on my face." Quick as a flash she replied, "Why? Is your nose bigger than your ick?" Place erupted in laughter and he skulked off. That was over 20 years ago and it still gives me a chuckle. I was at a pool in Vegas and wearing a straw cowboy hat with my shirt open. One friend said, "AMN. How can you not get laid with that outfit today?" Other friends said, "Don't worry. He'll show us." When I was in high school, one of my classmates gave our teacher a typical, "Your mom," response to a question without realizing the teacher's mother had just died. Without missing a beat, the teacher said, "Leave my mother out of this. I don't make fun of your parents, and look what they produced." My favorite of all time was from Roast Me. Guy was wearing a checkered shirt and the line was, "Thanks for wearing graph paper so we can calculate it." The exact waste of space. Kills me every time I think of it. A colleague of mine was told the following by a waitress when he had tried to hit on her: "You have more ick in your personality than you do in your pants." Teacher of mine once said to a classmate who kept making the most asinine contributions to the conversation, "You make it really difficult to underestimate you." The guy had no idea what it meant. He thought it was a compliment. Toby is in HR, which technically means he works for corporate, so he's really not a part of our family. Also, he's divorced, so he's really not a part of his family. They'd need a recipe for making ice cubes. I bet your parents change the subject when their friends ask about you. Aggressively takes notes in order to sound witty and original next time I am in an argument. My friend uploaded a photo of one of our Navy serving coworkers with the caption, "Burn me." The most popular remark was, "Your mother only wants a folded flag for Christmas." Some guy on Reddit says he had fornicated with OP's mother. Op replies, "I am happy to know that I am no longer her biggest disappointment. Haven't heard any insult that epic before or since. I envy the people who've never met you. I hope you have the day you deserve. It's impossible to underestimate you." Bunch of quite pretentious people getting out of Alamo at a club and pretending they're more than they are to get in ahead of the line. Bouncer quips, "Can always tell clowns," all arriving in the same car. Be honest. How attractive would you say you are? When I look in the mirror. 7/10. When I look at some pics of me. 4/10. Two older ladies told me I looked so handsome and distinguished, so right now I'm feeling like a 10 out of 10. Y'all be careful not to ruin my high. I'm a solid 2 but my wife likes me so whatever. 4/10 on the streets, 9/10 in the sheets. Oh, Excel, whatever would I do without your constant validation? Not at all. I'm about as good looking as an iguana who got hit in the face with a wok. My mom says any woman would be lucky to have me, so maybe a 3. In my 20s, I was probably a solid 8. In my 40s, hard 3. When my wife got sick, I let myself go. After she passed away, I went, UCK it, and really let myself go. I just don't give a asterisk hit about anything anymore. Around my mid-20s I thought I could be a pretty hot item if I started working out a little more diligently. Then I don't know what the hell happened, the brakes ucking fell off and the chassis caught on fire. Without the gut, I'd say a 7. With the gut, I'd sigh an 8. To be honest, I don't know. Some days I look at myself and think wow, I look great, and there are other days where I look at myself and think wow, I look awful. 5/10 probably. I am a 100000. I love myself. I'm so lonely. Some days I see myself as a 3/10. After a haircut, shaved and in a positive mind space, I look in the mirror and think I am a straight 10 out of 10. So I guess on average I perceive myself as 6.5, 10.